a common question that comes up for job seekers and for professionals alike. So, what is a hiring manager and what do they actually do? Now, whether you're prepping for an interview or just curious about how hiring works behind the scenes, this video is going to break down the role of a hiring manager, the responsibilities, and how they influence the recruitment process. So, let's dive into the hiring manager. First up, who exactly is a hiring manager, right? A hiring manager is the person within a company responsible for filling a position by managing the hiring process. Now, they're usually the manager or leader of the department with a job opening. Okay, keep that in mind. So, for example, if a marketing team needs a new social media specialist, the hiring manager would then typically be the marketing manager or somewhere in the leadership position within that department. Now, they're the ones who have the best understanding of what skills, qualifications, and experience are needed for the role. And that's really where play a critical role in finding the right candidate. Okay? Now, a hiring manager plays a crucial role in the recruitment process as they are ultimately responsible for ensuring that the right candidate is chosen for a job. Here are a few key reasons why hiring managers are so important. First, they have deep understanding of job requirements. So hiring managers, they know the ins and outs of the role that they're hiring for. And since they often lead the team where the vacancy exists, they understand the specific skills, qualifications, and experience required to fill the job. Now this allows them to evaluate the candidates not just on paper, but also in terms of how well they fit into the team and the company's goals as well. So the final decision making power is with them. While recruiters help, by the way, in sourcing and screening candidates, hiring managers usually have the final say on who gets hired. They make the ultimate decision based on their assessment of the candidate's technical skills and cultural fit and potential to succeed within the team. Now, this makes their input critical in the hiring process, right? The involvement in the interview process of hiring managers, by the way, they typically conduct or participate in technical interviews or role specific interviews. Their ability to ask details, job specific questions ensures that they can accurately engage the candidate's capabilities and then in their fit for the role or not. They also work with, they collaborate with HR and recruiters actively. So hiring managers work closely with HR teams and recruiters to define the hiring strategy. They provide feedback on job descriptions, for example. They help set the criteria for selection and ensure that the recruiters present candidates who meet the team's needs. Now, this collaboration is vital to keeping the hiring process aligned with the department's objectives, right? And they also have impacts on the company's growth. And let me explain that. So, hiring managers help shape the future of their teams, by extension, the company itself. Now, by selecting the right people, for their teams, they ensure that the products are executed efficiently and goals are met, and the company continues to grow as progresses forward. They also work with team dynamics. They're very professionals. So one of the most critical aspects of a hiring manager's role is determining how well a candidate will fit into the team. So how do they do it? They assess not only the technical skills, but also the interpersonal skills and attitudes of the candidates to ensure smooth team dynamics, which ultimately affects the productivity and success of the department. So the hiring manager basically is indispensable in ensuring the right candidate is selected, guiding the recruitment process and maintaining team synergy. Now, the decisions can greatly impact the success and culture of the organization, right? So, important part of the hiring manager is basically collaborating with recruiters. And I mentioned this earlier, but recruiters are responsible for finding a large pool of candidates, right? And doing the initial screening. The hiring manager narrows down that list, okay? To give feedback to the recruiter what kind of candidates to look for and what qualities are essential. Now, Let me give you an example here. A hiring manager might say to the recruiter, I need someone with at least 3 years of experience in software development and a strong understanding of Python and Java, right? Pretty straightforward. Now, based on that, the recruiter will adjust their search and present the best candidates for the role. So, how can you basically impress the hiring manager when you're actually up for an interview? So, let me give you some tips that can make all the difference, by the way. Now, first, tailor your resume. Make sure your resume highlights the specific skills and experiences that are most relevant to the role that you are applying for, right? Second, make sure you research the company and show the hiring manager that you've done your homework for that company and know the company's products, services, and competitors because that's where you're applying for, right? Be ready for examples. Hiring managers love to hear specific examples of projects that you worked on, and use the STAR method like situation, task, action, and results to structure your answers when talking to hiring managers. Ask thoughtful questions to the hiring manager. So at the end of the interview, ask insightful questions. Many of my students don't ask this, by the way, right? So, for example, you can ask something like, what does success look like for this position in the first 6 months? Now, this shows that the hiring manager that you're already thinking about how you can make an impact on the organization. So let me give you some additional sample interview questions, right? So it's easier for you to, answer when you're working with it, right? So let me give you a question here. So, for example, can you describe a time when you faced a challenging project and how you handled it? Well, how would you answer, right? Many answers, but the best answer would be say, sure. In my previous role as a software developer, we were working on a project with a very tight deadline to launch a new feature. The biggest challenge was integrating a third party API that wasn't very well documented, right? Now, here's how I handled it. So, basically, as situation, I led a small team of three to figure out the integration within the app. And then my responsibility was to ensure that we met the deadline without compromising on quality. Now, I spent extra time on researching the API, reaching out to the support team, and then collaborating with my team to brainstorm workarounds. And then, of course, in the end, we not only met the deadline, but the feature also had fewer bugs than expected, which resulted in positive feedback from the client. Now, that's a great answer, right? So, this is basically how you would approach the hiring manager, what they are, how they do, and I'll give you an example of a sample answer as well. So, when you're interviewing a hiring manager, it's essential to have a positive impression on the hiring manager because your first impression counts, guys, right? So, many of us just get, anxious and, they don't know what to say, they're not prepared. So, when you are in an interview with a hiring manager, it is essential to have a positive impression by avoiding certain statements that could undermine your chances of getting hired. So, for example, let me give you some list of things that you're not going to say when interviewing, right? So, first, don't say I don't know, because that's pretty common, right? So you say I don't know the answer, right? So because that shows that you're unwilling to think critically. Instead, try saying I have not encountered the exact situation, but here's how I would approach it. Now, this shows problem solving skills even when you're unsure. So, second, say don't ask what does your company do because hey, you have failed to do the research for the company. That shows lack of preparation and interest, right? Always come prepared with knowledge about the company's services, products, or mission. Just go to the website and just go through it, right? You should also not say, I didn't get along with my last boss or colleague, right? And you know why it's bad? Because speaking negatively about a previous job, boss, or team can make you appear difficult to work with because that shows as someone who doesn't handle conflicts professionally. Instead, focus on what you've learned from the experience and how you've grown. So, also don't say, I'm just looking for any job, right? And you know why that's not good because they want to hire someone who's passionate about a specific role and company, not someone looking for a paycheck. Now, this can signal a lack of enthusiasm for the job at hand, right? So keep that in mind. Also, please don't ask what the salary for this position is, right? It's too early in the conversation and you should not ask, right? Because while it's important to discuss salary, asking too early can make it seem like you're only interested in the money rather than the opportunity itself and professional career growth. So wait until the hiring manager brings up the compensation or discusses at the end of the interview when appropriate. Okay? Also, don't ask, I don't have any questions. Don't say. Because not asking questions during an interview can suggest a lack of curiosity or interest in the company or role. So always prepare thoughtful questions about the company itself or the company culture, the team, or the future of the position itself. Also, should not ask, how quickly can I get promoted? That's not a good question to ask. Well, because when you ask this too soon, that makes you appear impatient or suggest that you're not interested in the current role. So instead, you need to ask about growth opportunities and career development within the company. Also, don't ask, I don't have any weaknesses because we all do, right? Because everyone has areas where they can improve and they constantly learn. So claiming you don't have any weaknesses can come across as arrogant or insincere as well. So instead, you can say, take a minor weakness that you're actively working on improving and explain how you're addressing this particular weakness, right? Nine, I was fired from my last job. Yeah, that's not a good idea, right? Because honesty is important, it's better to phrase it a more neutral way. So instead of saying I was fired, say the role wasn't the right fit for me. And I've since learned a lot about what I need to thrive in my next position. So, this is basically some of the areas that you need to focus on when you're interviewing with your hiring manager. So, hopefully, now you know exactly what a hiring manager is, what do they do, what to expect from them, right? What they ask. And also, I've touched base on the role of the recruiter because the job of the recruiter is to just give you a bunch of candidates, throw at you, and then the hiring manager basically filters them down based on what they're looking for. So, it's a very, very important person, by the way. That's the person that's going to hire you. That's what they call the hiring manager, right? But we typically focus more on the recruiters or other team members that have interviewed. Remember, interview is not just a single person. Most likely you'll be interviewing with multiple team members as well. So, but the ultimate decision is with the hiring manager. Okay, so keep that in mind. That a hiring manager, once again, is the most important person. So make sure you're prepared. I've given you all the important areas within the interview process. So make sure you actually work with it. So comment down below and see, let me know where you are in your interview process or your job role. And if you have any specific questions, I'll be happy to answer. So thank you so much. I'll talk to you guys later. My name is Syed, and make sure you subscribe, like, and comment. Thanks for watching.